Yo, GM guys.
Yo, how's it going?
GM, that was fun. Yep.
Sometimes you just click an intro and it wants to play itself again.
Well, GM guys, welcome back. This is Solana Made Simple, episode 8, and we're gonna get this thing started off. But that was Gravy. He's the guy behind the scenes. He's the man making all of this stuff happen there. And it's nice to have you on the stream this time. You're gonna hang out the whole day or the whole show?
Hanging out as long as I can until the real world calls.
I feel you. But like I said, welcome back. I'm SMS. We got Jules down here as well. Today we're diving into the latest on Solana. We're talking about BTCFi growth in 2025 and what that kind of means, what's fueling it, and the benefits of getting involved now. Some of that kind of stuff is big picture. We're going to dive into that. There's a huge article that Zeus released. We're going to dive into that a little bit more into detail. But very interesting stuff. But we're going to hand it over to Jules real quick and go over some of the ecosystem and the Solana updates or just crypto general news. You got anything for us today?
Yeah, mostly crypto general news, but kind of the same theme as always every week, since realistically that's the majority of the news that we have anymore is all bullish institutional news. So first going to start with the fact that the acting CFTC chair, Carolyn Pham, says the agency is weighing whether overseas crypto platforms under frameworks like EU's MiCA could be recognized in U.S. cross-border rules. Some bullish news there. BlackRock, everybody's familiar with them, obviously. Their portfolio had, or at least had when I jotted this down last week, had crossed the $100 billion threshold. 85% of that is in BTC, and they are also still buying. Another one that a lot of people would have saw by now, Forward Industries, or Ford as it'd be listed. The share soared 70% Monday morning as a provider of design services for the medical and technology sectors. Became the latest company to completely shift its business into becoming a cryptocurrency treasury. So this is kind of another new hot topic. We sit here and talk about DATs or treasuries, things like that. But now we've got people that actually shift their complete focus or business plan towards this. So they're closing or did close a $1.65 billion private placement in cash and stablecoin commitments to advance the Solana treasury strategy. And so if I didn't make that clear, that is a Solana treasury. So we're adding that to the list now of Solana DATs.
Yeah, the DATs, I was covering that one and taking a look into that. That's huge. Like $1.65 billion, completely going into that direction. I saw a lot of people posting, sharing, some people that were contributing to that as well. Definitely a topic of interest for me. And I think that you're going to see a lot more companies doing that. And I think that, what we're going to be talking about today, diving into Bitcoin and how it isn't just sitting idle, and I think 76% of it is active on Solana as it is. So it's like once people start seeing the correlation, because not everybody knows this stuff, that's clear. They know that there's potential, there's something there, but it's here, it's really here actually now. But the big moves like Monk DAO also becoming the first DAO with a Bitcoin treasury on Solana. That's another one. They were the first, community or DAO, from the Solana centric OGs, as far as I know, that came out and they went with the Zeus network and got their Bitcoin on Solana as well. So we're seeing it happening on institutional level. We're seeing it happening on the ecosystem and the community levels, and the DAO level. It's fun, honestly. It's something exciting for me because it's something I've always loved to talk about, and it's kind of, I figured this is the way we're going, and now we get with exactly what we were waiting for. So I'm bullish on it. What do you think about that, Gravy? You got any takes on that?
I'm honestly thinking of the Ben Stiller meme for this first DAT. What is this, a DAT for ants? So we're looking at something much larger here. It's just the beginning.
Oh my god, that's a good one.
My first thought on a less funny note is always thinking back to previous times or previous cycles, going way back. It was always about, even one aspect of these, I don't know how many DATs we brought up now. I don't know how many different institutions like BlackRock we brought up between BTC, Sold, any of it, doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't know how many we brought up, but even just one of those pieces, let's say, I don't know, I always forget where we're at in cycles. So let me, however many years ago, let's say several years ago, I remember thinking one piece of that news would have been so massive, everybody would have lost their mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's like how far we've advanced already. So the point is, back in the day that we were
That's
always
true.
talking about institutional money coming eventually.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden when it did, it's flooding.
Yeah, it's like, okay, the floodgates are open, levees are broke. Like, that's what you're getting at this point. And you're right. You know, back in the 2 years ago, if you were to talk about institutions and EFT or ETFs, like just in general, anybody with a big suit on talking about it, everybody goes crazy. They're like, oh, that's it. We're going to a jillion dollars. Well, it's like we've been over 100,000 through every up and down economic, this is going to crush us. It's like, well, no, it really just kind of goes and finds support and bounces it. And it shows like, hey, this is the stability we have now. This is what's happening. People are buying the dips and bringing the number up despite, what's been going on. So I don't know. It's
I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to take a hot take here, but the 4-year cycle is dead.
Yeah, dude, I agree. I think it's just liquidity cycles at this point.
The 4-year cycles.
Oh yeah. I was actually reading something about that the other day, and I think we all actually have come to this conclusion anyway. This particular cycle, but yeah, the halving actually being the reason has never really been the reason. It's just a business cycle.
Well, right. I mean, we never, hitting on what SMS just said, we've never had this kind of support
well,
at
and there's
institutional level. It's just, I don't know. It could be hopeful on one end, but it's also, we have, with any significant dips, we've got significant liquidity ready to gobble it up and provide new support that we didn't have just 2-3 years
exactly ago. So like, this is the problem that we face though with, good and bad. There's always a balance. So like, as good as this is, if it does become a super cycle, and by cycle meaning that we come back down, that's where it's like, you have to remember, as fast as we go up, faster it comes down. That's typically how that always happens. People are going to take money out. I don't think it, drops dramatically like it does, because it was security reasons and issues way bigger than just market moves and profit taking. So, and all of that nature. But to the point, for it to truly be a cycle, we are going to have to see some kind of pullback. I would say 50% or more for it to be that cycling situation, to find that support and to rerun it. Otherwise, I think it's just a trend up and down, just like we see the S&P and indexes over years. We've only had this for a certain amount of time. And if you zoom out and you start to look at the beginning of S&P and you start to look at just overall markets from day one when we track this stuff, Bitcoin looks very similar.
Yeah, and I would say two things on that. One, I would say, as I've mentioned before, that if you're maturing over time, you technically get less volatility.
Well, yeah, you're the one that told me about
less
that.
Volatility, this is still going to be more volatile than, anything legacy-wise. But
you mean like swings in price?
Yeah, I'm talking just Bitcoin here, and I'm talking the amount of volatility there was several years ago versus now is going to be different. So, but with that said, so just because it's being stable doesn't mean that, like you're saying, obviously we're going to be seeing more up and down, but, at some point. But, yeah, I mean,
a great example is the adoption of the internet. I mean, we're seeing that, we're seeing the adoption go parabolic and then eventually level out. And we're starting to see that with more and more support, with more ways to utilize Bitcoin faster, quicker, cheaper, more opportunities, more options. I mean, we're still in the beginning phases of this new technology, much later than we were several years ago, obviously, but we're seeing that adoption rate go up significantly. And eventually, yes, it will, plateau or level out. But is that what's that at? Is that at 1 million Bitcoin? Is that at 500,000 Bitcoin? Is that 10 million Bitcoin? I mean,
that's a good question.
And I would also, to add to that, because I also had this one last talking point news wise, and this kind of correlates again with where growth is going. With the Tether CEO now saying they're going to be launching a US based stablecoin called USAT, and the former White House official who was the executive director of the President's Council of Advisors on Digital Assets. He's going to be the CEO of that. So, obviously, not only is the U.S. finally adapting to all this, but the main point there was that now we're going to start using more digital assets, even stable coins, things like that, because obviously we understand that legacy is broken to some degree.
Definitely can agree to that there, but you want to wrap this thing up, well, not wrap it in, but tie this into this article here and kind of dive into some of these points here, because this thing was massive. When I saw it, I run through it and I made some content from it. I'm still working off of it, and I love what you just switched the screen up. I was like, did we just rug?
No, we good.
You scared me with that one there.
Say something about me typing, because usually everybody does. It's loud.
No, that definitely got me there. But no, just for the big picture, as far as what we're talking about regarding Bitcoin, I mean, typically it was just you buy and you hold this thing. Now we're actually at a point where we can put this to use. And this article really does show you the growth of BTCFi on Solana and then in 2025 in general. So the big picture from the Zeus report is that Bitcoin is sitting mostly idle. 98% of it, about $2 trillion worth, is just sitting there, and newer holders don't have huge amounts, so they can't wait around for a decade hoping to get the price to go up. They want to earn yield now. So that's one of the biggest things. People will say, your money is better spent buying this asset that has more room to grow rather than buying into Bitcoin. But when you look at the big picture of it, price goes up, volatility isn't as drastic as it is with the meme coin, and typically some of these other assets, they go away in 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years, Bitcoin goes up. But people don't want to wait that long. They want to find ways to put it to work. Bitcoin didn't have that. It just sat idle because it was clunky. It was just archaic infrastructure that was great, sustainable, secure, all of that. Like the reasons we need it. But peer-to-peer transacting, DeFi use, everything that we want on Solana, it wasn't possible until now. Now we're starting to see that is possible. I'm personally using it myself, utilizing the different options, showing people that they can start from $0 and start earning, accumulating with what they got. But that's the thing that we needed to get to. For holders that don't have a lot, that can't ape into it because you're at over $100,000 Bitcoin, they used to think that you could only get a whole one. They didn't think they could get pieces of it and dollar cost average and buy chunks of this at a time. So DeFi makes that possible. You can average, or you can compound your gains in that same window that typically would take just to see a small growth. You're going to have a compounded gain using the DeFi and the opportunities that are available with APYs regarding lending, borrowing, all of the different things that came out of the what's it called, that space the stream yesterday. I don't know if you guys tuned into that for BTC on Sol.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about that, right?
Yeah, I was in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from what you just summarized is that 98% is sitting idle, and 99% of it is less than 1 Bitcoin, and the majority of that is between $0 and $1,000 in these wallets. Now, taking into consideration anybody that's smart isn't just holding all their Bitcoin in one wallet, so we have to take into consideration that these whales have dozens of wallets. That kind of skews the statistics a bit, but it's still a good generalization of what we're looking at. But the thing is, when you have a small amount of Bitcoin, when you can't accumulate one whole Bitcoin, you need that to work now. You don't have 10 years for this thing to start working or work, I guess, earning for you. You want to put it to work immediately to start getting return on that orange coin. You can't, a 10x from here for somebody with only $1,000 worth of Bitcoin is only $10,000. So that's not a huge beacon of hope to just hodl. So they need to be working now to earn that passive income on a 98% idle asset.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always been a matter it's not a matter of if Bitcoin becomes productive, but when now. And with Zeus infrastructure, what they have available, Solana is positioning itself as the go-to chain for that shift. We're seeing that. We see the numbers. None of that lies. So let's get into this a little bit more. And, I'm going to ask you, Jules, on this one specifically. What do you think as far as the BTCFi boom on Solana? Sure, it's the speed and all of that, but is there anything specifically, or anything you want to tap in on why?
Well, one thing I would also like to
or what
add,
rather.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to backtrack just a touch and add to that, pretty good segue actually, is that while a lot of us sit here and focus on what these institutions should be doing with their BTC to earn yield and things like that, I do agree that some, and I probably have said this, I don't know how many times now on our show, but like I think that some
Say it again.
some will go down the risk curve over time. However, a lot of them, due to various client and security reasons, are not going to go that route. That's just a reality of it.
Can I put a side request in real quick for Gravy? Can you take a note? Can we get an image of a risk curve of you going down the risk curve for future references?
Yeah, because I keep saying it every week for some reason.
We need to see this thing. We need to have a button for this one just to plug that
in. Put in the order.
The Jules risk curve. But continue.
Yeah. But so my point where I was going with that is not all institutions going to go that route. Some are definitely going to. That's hence why we're starting to see Solana DAS, things like that too. But the thing that everyone seems to leave out always is we just keep talking about institutions. We actually need the smaller users using DeFi, which is what is happening. Because kind of like what Gravy is talking about, like they are the ones that are, they're not buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin and then saying, okay, now when we get, we're looking for an 80% return, whatever.
Let's use me as a perfect example of this, because I'm literally doing this. I've never been able to like buy and hoard a bunch of it. I've had to sell for the gains that I've been able to get. And it's been able to, for me, crypto's been improving the quality of my life. And now I'm at a point where I can start to, catch up on the savings. And that's what I think a lot of people are in that position. I think they're in, rather than having a bunch, I think that's a smaller percentage that we know. People are starting to warm up to this and say, hey, how can I get a slice of the pie? How can I get into this? So I'm doing exactly what we're talking about right now. Like, just so people watching, like it's not unfathomable for you to start today and be like, okay, this makes sense. All of this stuff is being built around it. How can I get involved? So just keep that in mind. Like I'm a prime living embodiment of what we're talking about, using your Solana, leveraging it on plays where you can get some BTC and you can use this, just to add that in there.
Yeah,
I do like that. I want to hit on that too. And it hits on this in the report as well. And from a personal experience, something that I've noticed is, if you've been in the game long enough, you don't really have a lot of pressure to move your Bitcoin because you're already up 100x, 20x, 50x, whatever it is. You're already up 100,000%, whatever it is, depending on when you got into the game. And so the more you have, the cheaper it likely was, the less pressure you have to move it around, because let's face it, you got that F around money. So you don't need to risk your Bitcoin that you've held through ups and downs, through anxiety, through depression, through euphoria, through all the things that you've gone through for the past however many years. So, when you're thinking of the smaller player, look at this pie chart. It's just absolutely dominated by smaller, holders. And in my opinion, depending on where you come from, what your financial situation is, it's less of a risk to potentially lose $1,000 worth of Bitcoin versus potentially lose a full coin, right? And so, seeing retail with a smaller number, we call them shrimps in the report, seeing shrimps actively utilize this, I think is going to really help. Just the momentum, the idea, the concept that it's no longer extremely dangerous to move your Bitcoin from its storage that you put it in 5 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it is. It's, I think, a huge hurdle that we're facing, which Zeus Network built the solution for. I think a huge hurdle that we're facing is just the security risk, the tolerance of being able to say, I believe that this is going to be okay for, the opportunity of a loss after the years and years of all the emotions, I think is one of the largest hurdles. And I think Zeus Network really nailed it with ZBTC and Apollo.
And let me also add, for anyone listening that we'll say is a shrimp, we'll call it, and just clarify, shrimp is just meaning X amount of basically essentially like dollars in it. It just means you're not a whale, sorry to say, but there's nothing wrong with that. Let me just point out for anyone listening that might think, well, okay, how realistic are you to say we should just be like, we need to earn more than that? Like, we're not just going to go buy Bitcoin and just throw it in, in DeFi. That's not at all what we're saying. We're saying like you should have a percentage of your portfolio in it, because like, yeah, I understand, you're definitely wanting to play memes, make other different trades, things like that. You're trying to grow your portfolio more. Totally get that, and I agree with it. However, a percentage should always be in something like that, like Bitcoin.
Definitely. It's one of the points of that is if you look at the prices when the market chops, which one's going to be, only a few percent down compared to 10, 20, 30%. That's another part of like why you want to, put
not
that
only,
into.
Yes, not only the growth, but then you're like, for anyone who got tired of their portfolio, kind of just having trouble all year, this year in particular.
Yeah. All you had to do was buy Bitcoin. That's it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a percentage of it in there, or just like Solana. It's not going to be as variable as sitting here holding whatever it is you're holding. So just keep that in mind is all I'm saying. You should diversify.
You brought this up before is the maturity of the market, and that's what you kind of get to is at a point where you get less volatile swings and stuff like that. But I think that's definitely one of the bigger things, in my opinion, that's starting to impact the broader ecosystem when it comes to BTCFi is the Solana usage or the Solana capability and bringing the ZPL ecosystem together and having these different opportunities to take your native Bitcoin, put them into simpler ways. I know most people still don't know about it outside of like our bubble, and I think that we forget that sometimes. But if you can explain to somebody that they can get yield on what they're already holding, and that's where you start to have the conversation grow a little bit. And I wanted to bring this up again because I thought it was pretty monumental to see Monk DAO's Bitcoin treasury move. They're the first DAO on Solana to hold Bitcoin reserves using ZBTC, utilizing the Zeus network again. What kind of signal do you think that Monk DAO move sends to other DAOs or institutions thinking about Bitcoin on Solana rather than just Solana?
I think it's honestly the icebreaker. I mean, I think it's a follow the leader kind of moment, right, where Monk DAO, pops the balloon on the being scared to utilize the assets that you've built. And I think once more institutions and more large players see that they didn't die, I think they will start becoming more comfortable and making moves towards that. I mean, we're talking institutions with billions of dollars of Bitcoin sitting idle, doing absolutely nothing. They chose Bitcoin because they saw fiat, that dirty fiat, get destroyed by inflation. So they're looking for a hard asset to store their wealth in, and then they're going to eventually become comfortable with the idea that, holy crap, this thing can make me a shit ton of money. I just got to get comfortable and see a case study like Monk DAO utilizing their stack to earn passively. And hey, there's still nothing's happening to them. It's okay. It's working well. The security is great. I think it's just going to take a couple more of those moments before we see more of these institutions and large players realize and become comfortable with the play.
Yeah, I think Monk DAO is a pretty respected name in the space, and seeing that, I saw a lot of other people posting and tweeting about it. So it definitely kind of, confirmed what my thought was. Like, hey, if people are paying attention to these guys making this move, I think, potentially. What do you think about that, Jules?
My thought on it would be, again, that like, so for example, if I'm like a founder or running a protocol here and I have tokenized Bitcoin on Solana, my targets are not BlackRock, for example. Like, I mean, that's just, to be realistic, that's not happening at this stage of the game. However, we do have, again, Monkey DAO, for example, Monk DAO, however you say it. I always said Monkey DAO, but I might be wrong. You have protocols or companies out there in the space that for example, would want to, okay, how else can we earn besides our revenue and fees that we currently have, how else can we earn? How else can we build this treasury? And that's exactly the first way to do it. Now, whether or not more want to choose to be a partial Solana DApp versus a Bitcoin DApp, I mean, that's up to them. But they can certainly use tokenized Bitcoin, obviously, and go that route rather than just holding it. So my point is that I would be where we're at right now. I would be targeting or kind of using that as my sales pitch to protocols out there. I mean, I'm just going to make one up. I'm not saying these people should do it, but let's just say Marinade or somebody like that, for example. If assuming they have X amount in treasury, why not start doing something with that treasury?
I definitely can see your point with that, and that's kind of where I think about it too. Is if you're already on the chain, and now that chain has made it interoperable and pegged it one-to-one with one of the greatest assets we've known to date, why wouldn't you want to get exposure? Simple as that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see, again, like it's one, it's easy, and two, it's extremely popular now thanks to DATs, like outside DATs. I mean, not like a monkey DAO, but like it's everybody's kind of shown the way to say, oh, well, a lot of huge players believe in this treasury idea. So like, what are we doing in our case as far as a treasury goes, or as far as what we do with our income in that protocol? I personally think that is I feel like it's the next step and probably the next move outside of all these new Solana DATs, as I think you start seeing actual, I would call them more on-chain or more crypto native protocols, like starting to move their money into things that are going to advance their treasury.
Yeah, what we have here, it says the pioneering move reflects a broader institutional awakening. Global institutional treasuries hold 3.67 million BTC across public companies, governments, private firms, ETFs, and exchanges, growing at 2.34% monthly as of August. The trend represents fundamental transformation from Bitcoin as a speculative investment to a foundational financial infrastructure. That's pretty cool to see it happening on Solana, in my opinion, just because when I got here, it's like there was a hard line. Like, you have Bitcoin, you got Solana, you got Ethereum, you got your Dogecoin and every other thing. Now that you're seeing like, hey, this is pegged together, you see the benefit. You don't have to be a chain maxi. You can just bring them all together, and it's inevitable to see the evolution of Bitcoin get to this point. It's at the point where you can actually say, I can buy, like, the way that Bitcoin was expected to be used can be done with ZBTC right now. If you want to spend ZBTC and buy yourself a cup of coffee in Bitcoin, that's the way to do it. Pretty simple there.
Well, and I would add to that too, that keep in mind that we're early in tokenized Bitcoin. So we're sitting here talking about BTCFi growth in 2025. Generally speaking, you're going to have a lot of growth, but generally speaking, the second, we'll call it cycle, even though they're kind of changing, but we'll call it the next cycle, is usually when things really, really, really take off. But where I was going to go with that is, again, the next wave will be, so this is the start. We're just kind of starting down the DeFi process right now. To take it a step further, will we then, and you and I have talked about this a bunch, I think, SMS, is that like it's always about making things easier for the user as well. So like you just said, like we're going to have more actual dApps like mobile, know, where you could be like, okay, I've got some tokenized BTC here and it's in a wallet, and I buy a cup of coffee with it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's going to be, it's not always about like, we're here to like, earn and talk about institutions are going to make more money. It's not always about that. It's got to be about using it.
Well, that's where I want to get to a little bit more. It's like, how does this work? How do you spend it? Great, you can make all this money, but what the hell do you do with it? You know what I mean? And some of the conversations go into RWAs and to the like real assets, like tangible ones when it comes to houses and stuff. And I start to wonder, when does it come to a point where you can accept that? When do these payment rails exist, and it comes up to the person that's going to accept the funds at the end of the day. They can do it custody. They can accept the funds with a wallet. Like, you can make that happen. You can write smart contracts. You can do whatever you need to on that end. But as far as big brands going to a store and using this, I tend to think that you would have to have that card provider accept ZBTC, sell it for stablecoin to do the transaction at that point, right? Like, you're not actually spending, you're getting to a point of sale or swap, right, for the stable value, and then that's when the payment processor that starts to kick in that cycle. And that's how I think would make the most sense. ZBTC, in my opinion, when I look on Solana, what would, aside the point from your what's it called, your stable coin, most people don't want to spend their Solana, most people aren't going to want to spend their Bitcoin, so they're going to swap it to begin with. But what would you rather spend, Bitcoin like on Solana or Solana, if you were to use it like as a transaction? I'm just asking you, what would you rather spend?
God, I'd rather spend Solana. I'm just way too hardcore on. I've been in. It's going to be very difficult for me to sell my Bitcoin. Whether, I've been through some ups and downs. My personal goal in my life is to borrow against it for the rest of my life and replace my job with a passive income, and then pass it down to my offspring. So I don't have any future goals or plans to sell. I'm hodl handing to the grave, and I'm just going to replace and make my life better passively with it. I mean, I also own real estate, rental properties, and comparing that to Bitcoin, it's the worst headache in the world. I had a tenant last year do $9,000 worth of damage, and I have to track her down. She disappeared. I have to hire a private investigator to figure out where she is to help get back that money. And I could have just bought even more Bitcoin and earned passively with zero headaches, zero turnover, zero carpet replacements, zero air conditioning fixes, all of that. So, like, I don't know, when people start realizing that the Bitcoin really truly is the future asset, I tend to believe we're going to have family debts. I mean, obviously not massive compared to institutions, but any smart family looking out for the better financial future.
Yeah, that makes sense, dude.
But another way to look at this is too, like, I from an investment standpoint, I'm obviously with you. I've taken out tiny, very small. I've probably taken out a few $1,000s ever in crypto. I don't ever take anything out.
I've never sold a sat.
Yeah. So, like, but to the point, like, not necessarily right this moment because we're not there yet, but in 5 years, with all this stablecoin push, everything institutionally, like, how much, let's just say we have some app on our phone or DApp in 5 years where, like, some of your income, you've already got it in stable coins or some tokenized Bitcoin or something like that. You actually might be using that while you're out buying a cup of coffee or something like that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
We don't know what this is going to look like. I mean, this is just the start of it all,
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, is like, that's a good point you bring up the 5 years, because, like, even though we're talking about the speculation, the ideas, it took us 4 to 5 years to get to this point from where the ideas started to, like, really grow. They were already there. Like, people have had these ideas for a while. It's just you have to get to these levels, these steps, these real world use cases where you're seeing it implemented and it does work. The thing that's special now is everything we just said, you can do it with your phone and $1. Like, with your bank account, you can literally just start and just tap, and you can start doing these things. And that's what I think people don't really understand. Because before, with Bitcoin, you would have to get on a centralized exchange. Before that, you would have to do a lot of crazy shit that most people just would be like, I'm not comfortable with this at all.
Nope.
But that's the risk, that reverse reward mechanism kicking in full effect, right?
Mm-hmm. And so, again, like, for example, like, even we'll say the centralized exchanges are even trying to, like, say, how can we get some user base advantage? like Base, for example. Obviously, a large amount of growth there, and there will be. And you know, a lot of us maybe aren't a fan of Base, but like people are going to use that. So like everyone's kind of where I'm going with this is the correlation to then Solana, also where we do have companies that have already been providing or pushing out mobile dApps and things like that. Everything to make it easier for the user. So you've got two different chains like Base and Solana both doing the same thing in that regard. Just simply trying to bring in like what is like where you know, how are we going to make this easier for new Web3 users, basically? So like you know, so the important part there, I guess, for us is that what chains, as we always talk about, what chains actually have that ability to do so. And obviously Solana's, you know, in the forefront of that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Bitcoin growth in 2025, Solana's looking like it's following right behind Base. It's right there.
Yeah, and
Base has just such a much larger user base. I guess you could say qualified because it's, I don't know.
Yeah, and so the Base user base is not going to like, you know, they're always going to have that thing because Coinbase, everybody knows what Coinbase is and all that. But like, you know, the other one on there, Stacks, that's just an L2. You know, nothing against Stacks or anything like that. I don't know of them really making anything easier for like new users.
Definitely not making it easier. It's still clunky. It's still expensive.
Yeah,
it's not like, Solana.
That's fine for CT.
What's the benefit with Base? Because I haven't paid attention to much of Base. I know that they're active, but like, what's the benefit over there? Like, what's the process? You guys familiar with that at all?
Well, I mean, it's certainly not permissionless, but it's just, I think it's just relying on large numbers of users, and they have the ability to flip the switch because they already farmed out users.
They also just announced a token, I believe, yesterday or the other day?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. But yeah, they're going to have users. I mean, Coinbase has been around forever, for example. So like, that's, you know.
Well, I mean, you look at it, it's in the name. And that to me was one of the most obvious things. It's like, oh, that's going to be a contender, whether it's meme coins, NFTs, Bitcoin, whatever you want to put into that space there. I think Base is they're paying attention to what works. And they're like, okay, we got an L2. We can do some pretty similar shit over here.
Yeah. So to my point, though, with Solana, it's like, okay, you know, how do we compete with that? How Solana has always competed, first of all. And I've said this before, the meme coin actually phase helped it because it made a lot of things possible, as in you have a user base. Now we build, you know, we continue to build out infrastructure, places like Jupiter, things like that. I mean, they're building, again, mobile dApps are going to be the key.
Dude, we got so much that we can do with our money now. It's retarded.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So Solana went how do we bring in Web 2 people to Web 3, or at least how do we make it easier so that people can come in, where we still have too crypto-centric type of infrastructure in a lot of it. Like, you know, and again, nothing against some of the others, but like they're just not realistic. You have to make things easy.
Agreed. So
that's one thing that I like about Zeus Network. You don't have to ask or go through any BS to exit or enter. You don't have to ask for permission. You don't have to go through a whole predetermined KYC, whatever this, whatever that, with the other options. I mean, if you're in, you're in. If you want to get out, you're out. You get your own, you go on your merry way. You have your ability of freedom. And in my opinion, the transactions being low cost, that's all going to help determine, you know, what users are going to be using it. When it comes to Base, I think it's more traditional people, more people that are, obviously a lot of retail is a vast variety of people, but you know, I deal with a lot of boomers in my real life, and they're not doing anything other than Coinbase. If it's not on Coinbase, they're not buying.
They don't touch it.
They're not touching anything outside of Coinbase. So like, I mean,
Coinbase is like their AOL. It's like
I mean, one guy I just spoke to, he's like, I can't get money on Coinbase because some sort of issue with the bank. But when these same people start realizing that the issue is the bank, they're going to start seeking it. They're going to start seeking solutions like ZBTC, where you don't have to ask permission to use your own money.
Right. I mean, that's huge. And that's it just takes time. It takes, repeating the process to people so they understand it. Because it's the common occurrence is I've got this wallet with some Bitcoin. I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to get it out. I'm one of those people. I have no idea what the hell it's stuck in something I bought 3 years ago that is definitely up in value, but I don't know how to touch this shit. I don't know how to get it out. It's not as simple as you would seem. And every single person that's a Bitcoin maxi or a Bitcoin person, they're like, oh, you just click this. I'm like, yo, it is not just click this. Solana is just click this. This shit you have to know.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot more. I work in an Ethereum world. I know that people don't like to hear that, but I love my Solana because of what Zeus Network is doing with Bitcoin. But I kind of paint the picture of the infrastructure and like ETH and whatnot for the past few years. It's like crypto gives you this beautiful flower field. However, it's riddled with landmines.
Yeah.
You're just trying to walk through this flower field without getting blown up.
Spot on.
It honestly seems better to me than it used to be, though, in that regard.
Well, it's certainly better now, but I'm talking like just trying to survive 5 years ago without getting
that's what I'm saying.
Scammed in some capacity or
it's right now. It's people, I think, getting so accustomed to this getting easier. They're falling victim to the stupid shit because they're letting their guard down. We used to have a tougher learning process and learning curve where unless you knew, you were going to fall victim because of the amount of predators out there. Now you have people that are getting better at it, but the people prying on people are still, they're getting smarter too, but that's a whole nother conversation to get into. The main thing is Bitcoin's been secure for so long. That's why people are attracted to it, but the usability hasn't been there. It's here now. It's here now on Solana with ZBTC. All of the reports are leaning and pointing in the right direction and the same direction and what we expected. All of these rails of payment use, utilization, DeFi, everything you could imagine, it's being built here on Solana. So that's why we want to cover this today. We do have about 10-15 more minutes. If we want to pull up any charts or anything like that, take a look at Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, since we have Ethereum rabbit in here, whatever.
I certainly can.
We can coexist. I'm one of the fun ones.
That's what they all say. As they come in here with their PFPs instead.
There we go. Okay. Let's see here. Let's just run down. Well, it's going to be pretty simple charting wise, to be honest with you, because we have FOMC this week, and that's really the reason why it's stagnated here. See a little bit of whipsaw. This almost happens like every time beforehand. We're basically going to set up, maybe even more so. We'll see on Wednesday. I could see some more whipsaw, maybe, especially in SPX we would. But anyway, we're going to whipsaw around a little bit as we set up the range. My concern would be, I would prefer we would chop or continue to chop a little bit, maybe a little bit up. But my concern would be the 25 bips being like priced in like heavily. That would be my first concern. The next concern would be, why did I lose my screen there? What did I do? I don't know what happened there, but not sure why it stopped sharing my screen.
Gravy?
Oh, pop it back up. I got to add it to your request.
Yeah, you got to add it.
There we go.
Well, yeah, but I don't know why it ever left. But anyway.
It's just the internet, man.
Anyway, so I don't even remember what I was saying now. Oh, the 25 bips already priced in. So, like, that would be my first concern. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a concern as in, why I guess maybe we're just sensitive enough at this point to we want to make sure that the 25 bips happen, because it definitely would be what we'll call hawkish in this case if they don't. But I guess worst case, I'm guessing, I am a little nervous about it being priced in, but I'm assuming we hopefully can just chop or go up a little bit here. Not really any TA behind that, other than I would say that we are at the moment kind of treating this area as resistance.
Right.
Just the former range right there. It's nothing significant. The bigger thing for me would be, again,
did it break that top over there, like to fill that cup? like from that sell off, the big red sell off where you have that green candle, and then it's red.
Yeah, I broke it, sort of.
No, green down.
It depends on what you want to define as that. I would define this just like
it's the last green candle in like order. The last one. That one looks white to me. I don't know if my eyes are fucked up.
I have particular things on here, so it's gonna be a little bit different. But
the bright green candle right in the middle, right there. All right,
okay.
From that top, did we break that?
Oh, yeah. I see. No, it's pretty much even.
Okay.
You whisked into it essentially. So again, so that's kind of my point. If you take this area as sort of a bracket here, you can see this one makes sense to bounce, go down.
Right. Now we're coming back what I'm looking
at. You're gonna basically knock on the door a little bit here, you know.
I could see this. You see how you have two like a double bottom. You have that head and shoulder pattern, and then it broke all the way down after that green candle. What I'm looking at is if you put a line underneath those two bottoms, that's probably where we would chop in that range before we go back up and then fill that top. That's what I would hope for in a bullish case.
This tweezer bottom here too, that should have not get revisited.
Right. I don't mean all the way down there. I just mean the double bot right there.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I was saying. You shouldn't have to revisit this, so I would agree.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I'm looking at right now, and that just off a quick glance. And I mean, even I don't know, momentum, everything kind of looks like it's shaping up that way.
Yeah, momentum's fine too. So I don't see anything bad there. So where I was going with this is assuming nothing. I mean, obviously nothing bad in the FOMC, and assuming that we're not being fooled into this being priced in and then we went down. But assuming that's not the case. What I'm more watching here is this is, again, we brought this up before briefly, others dominance. Okay, we broke out, we grinded up, broke out. Hopefully a little bit of a retest here is all this is, and then maybe if BTC can chop, go up or then chop, whichever. Then others dominance starts ripping again. We also have to coincide with that the Solana chart, which we all know already broke out. This was, again, slow grind up, breakout. And, of course, you're always going to have some pullback here. I don't know that it would. I think we would need the whole market to come back down to maybe try to work in there a little bit. But
what's that 200 right there at the top? Like if you were to retrace right there.
So you're
so this was more of a. This is not the most defined. Let me just look around here for a second. It's not really the most defined.
Right where it broke out, basically, like right in that area.
I would consider this more of the breakout and then retest almost, and then because this was like more obvious top.
Because you got a bull candle that came right off of that one once it sold off, and then it broke out.
Either way, this is breakout for sure here. That's a lot of. So like just like it did here, you know, obviously when we had this, he got up to here. Boom, breakout. Unfortunately, we must have been, that was August, so we had some things happen. But anyway, breaking back out. No surprise to be testing the areas we are. We've got FBGs that we left all the way up. Makes sense to probably coming in here. But anyway, it's going to be all tied. Everything right now, my overall point is tied to the FOMC as usual. So it is going to be a slow, we'll say today and tomorrow, I would expect. Well, at least today for sure. Tomorrow would be the day that maybe you get some whipsaw or hopefully up.
And you're thinking we will see a rate cut?
See a what?
Sounds like it.
A rate cut. So
well, I mean, it's like a 98% probability.
Right, you should, right? So, I mean,
if we don't, we are in serious trouble. Because
I'm not a chart guy, so I mean, I read levels, this, that, the very basics. I'm not like Golden Cross kind of chart guy, but
those are lagging indicators.
I would like to see a pullback if we're going to get a rate cut, because that means they're going to gig along it.
Well,
instead of a sell the news kind of hype.
You said
this is me personally. I'd like to see the price come down before we get a rate cut so that it can go to Valhalla temporarily. Or
well, I mean, technically we started the week after going upward. Technically, we've started the week kind of almost slightly. I mean, I guess that's not really a pullback, but I see what you're saying. I just don't think I mean, that's just not how it works before these FOMC times. Like maybe the day of, you could get some whipsaw down and then shoot right up.
Right.
But,
I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going up ham going into it, I mean, they're setting up for shorts. I don't know.
I think that it's priced in that they're looking for the sell-off?
I think we're still going to maybe. I don't think we're like gonna. So this depends on the time frames you're talking about. First of all, let's also pull in the M2, 12-week lead here. So I think we do have. I mean, according to the business cycle or global liquidity, chop then going up, and then we might want to. I do see that this is a realistic. This makes perfect sense to me because I think we need to chill here soon.
And retest that top right there where you're talking about previously.
Yeah, like altcoins and all that. Like index is getting a little high here, so like I'm assuming we probably end up going up a little bit once we think, okay, FOMC, even if it's priced in or not, we're going to go up a little. It's not Valhalla or anything like that. Obviously, you see the grind up into the end of the year there. But then I could see we're probably due for some of this type action here anyway through October or into October. Not to be biased, but this really looks pretty accurate. And what I want to see, I guess, is a little up and a little chop.
I like it.
I don't know.
I
know what you're saying, though, as far as you would like to see a pullback and then Valhalla. But like,
yeah, I want to go to Moon and stay on Moon.
Yeah, well, that sounds like an Ethereum guy over here.
I don't think we're there. I personally think we're on the same page on this. I do think we need some pullback between here and probably about 30 days. I actually think it's happening sooner, but between here and 30 days, we're going to get some pullback, and then we're going to ignite for the rest of 2025. That would be my assumption.
Yeah. I mean, this has already gone longer than I thought it would if the 4-year cycle is a thing still, but
it's not. It's just a business cycle.
Yeah.
Which
all right, I got 2 questions. Go ahead.
Apparently, it's going into 2026, but I'm more reserved on that because at the end of 2000, I was just telling somebody else about this. The end of 2025, you have to realize for those that actually do pay taxes, you got to pull out money to be paying that. So you can't be like, I'm going to let it ride and then be like,
yeah, you always have a little bit of a pullback.
Taxes, you still have to pay it.
Yeah, you always have that happen. I don't care what anybody says. You might have a little bit of a pullback, but I think there's a couple different things. So I'm going to leave that for another conversation. But I do have questions for you guys, and this is kind of funny because like now I feel like we're on Brady Bunch. I can look down at you. Love it. But anyway, I wanted to ask 2 things. So in the condition we're in right now, let's say you took, $500, put it on leverage, 10x. Are you going long or short?
On 10x, I'd have to see the liquidation levels then.
I'm going long.
I'm just saying, just off of the cuff,
I mean,
just like nothing, no super.
I'm going long.
I like it. 10x gives you a little bit of room of
isn't a lot of room.
Man, I'm bull-tarded.
It's not a lot, but it's a little bit.
I'm not betting against it. I'm bull-tarded.
I mean, I would guess I don't do 10x, so
I don't either.
Not that I never have, but I mean, I would be like at
if
most
you covered
5x.
my trade.
I'd probably be 3x.
I covered your trade. Yeah, you guys would hate to see the way that I fuck around with perps. Like I'll run in and just 90x. Just like, all right, momentum looks good. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's some balls of stuff, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do that with like more than.
I'm just bullish on the technology to begin with, and I'm actually kind of. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm frustrated that more people aren't understanding and finding out about Zeus Network because, like, they're making the solution for our problems. They're making a real solution, not just.
There's more coming too. I mean, it's not just going to be the typical. Oh, you can stake it. You can get this. Lending, borrowing, LPing. All of it's still a little bit more, complicated for the average person, but you're going to see more. And I'll just leave it at that. Let your imagination run wild. But Gravy got any?
Somebody already did yesterday when Des brought it up. There's you could see also like basically that turn into an all-in-one DApp.
Right.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. But we'll let them cook. I think.
I mean, he brought it up yesterday, so I'll go ahead and bring it up. But that's a real possibility.
September is supposed to be a big month, according to Dapio. So.
Well, I don't know that it's a for sure finalized thing, but I'm gonna.
All I know is he said.
I'll just say this: that is a direction you would want to go. As much as I keep saying it, you want mobile, all in one. You
less
need
friction,
to make it less fragmented, and you need to make it easier.
Green.
I mean everybody. Like, that's the direction you need. What's that?
You just make it a one-stop shop so they can take care of all the things they need to, and people be like, you go to a bank to take care of banking needs. You don't go to 17 different banks to do all the different things that a bank can do. Just look at it like that. So
all I can say is Dapio said,
if you're going to be your own banker, stop going all over the place because you don't need to. Whatever. But any closing thoughts from you, Gravy, Jules, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I'm just going to say Dapio said,
Dapio said so.
He said August would be a big month. We had 115 Bitcoin deposited in just 3 transactions. That's not even including all the other Bitcoin. He's back on X saying September's a big month, so I'm looking forward to seeing what September ends up with. So
Zeus Network has been delivering since I've been involved. Without a doubt.
That's the thing that's frustrating to me, to be honest, because let's face it. Most of the crypto is the goldfish brain mentality that just wants to speculate on something, and then once they finally get the product they've been speculating on, they move on to something else to speculate on instead of, it's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. This is a real DApp fixing real issues. This isn't just some vaporware like 99%.
I think the biggest problem is they're comparing apples to oranges when it comes down to
100%.
it. And we got some of the best fucking apples in the game, and that's just
100%.
as simple as that. It works. People look at the underlying price of the token called Zeus, and it's like that's not reflective of the work and the body of work. The same thing with Marinade Finance, the same thing with Pengu, the same thing with Pump.Fun. Like all of these tokens, their prices aren't stellar, aren't looking like meme coins because they're products, they're brands, they're companies, they're real entities doing real shit that is sustainable. Like that's where I'll leave it with that. But you're spot on with that. Any takes you got to close this out, Jules?
No, I'm good.
All right, that's a pretty simple take. He's good. And
we good.
You got it covered there, so I didn't have to add anything to that.
Well, there you go. Simple and easy as can be. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank you so much for pulling up. This has been Solana Made Simple, episode 8, talking about the growth of BTCFi in 2005. Next week, we are going to have another show for you guys. We're going to get cooking on that thing right away. I want to thanks for all the support again. Jules, thanks. Gravy, it's good to have you out here on the shows. I hope you can make more of them. Hope you don't have to kill your boss or anything like that. Just kidding. Just jokes. All jokes, guys. Nobody's getting sued here. Anybody goes missing, we know to look at. But again, this has been fun. I appreciate all the support on the timeline, guys. We're going to keep this rocking and rolling. We're live on YouTube and X. Please share this out to more people that are interested in Bitcoin on Solana and understanding, what's going on, how they can get involved, and the different kind of tools and assets that are available to them. Because we're talking about it every single day for a reason. Number go up. But other than that, Gravy, you can close us out. You guys have a good rest of your day.